I normally spam the Rainer.
Wait. Okay, that's fair. I like the ha 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 ha, the Lunara.
Rainer finger wag in the Alarak. I want people to know you didn't get me, or I'm coming for you.
It's always a good classic variant question mark too. Don't forget about that one.
Yeah.
Where are we going for game 2? The answer is Towers of Doom. And it's No Tomorrow's pick.
Yeah, this is definitely a map that they, similar to what we see from Simplicity, they like to go to something like this. Infernal Shrines is another battleground they would do that on with their previous roster, but this is also another battleground. It gives them the opportunity to fight. I think that we'll see a lot of play around Dahaka. It seems like between our earlier series and this series, Dahaka has been prevalent. We saw Abathur in multiple occasions, whether it was pick or ban between Sky Temple and Towers of Doom. I think that's another consideration here for both of these teams, so a lot to play around on these battlegrounds.
Yeah, No Tomorrow have shown a little bit of what their new identity is, which is very similar to before. They're aggressive. They want to be an aggressive team. They're going to draft double melee assassins and stick it to you if they can. But this is a place that allows them to continue that aggression. Maybe we get a Casanova Genji. I feel like his Genji is really good.
Genji and Tracer are always going to be the most appealing options, and I think this is one. Casanova Genji, great, as you said, but we also have to keep in mind Cure on the Tracer, and Jaina is something that we saw multiple people play on this. Biggie, we know he's very adept at playing Li Ming or Tracer. Cure, obviously, on the melee now. Dansky, do we get a Medivh? There's so much to play around with these teams that any draft, I think, is possible, and as we come into this new meta, we don't know what to expect. Mid-season Brawl kind of changed the game a bit, and we've got even more changes on the way.
Yeah, we had a large patch. The armor patch is what we're playing on, which seems to have somewhat affected the warrior pool, but not too much because we still had quite a lot of Johanna. This is a favored battleground for both of the teams, at least what we knew from them in Phase 1. This is the only overlapping map that they both prefer in their pool, so I'm expecting fireworks for this game too.
Again, the Medivh factor for ENDEMIC, the fact that we know that they can run Maiev, and I wouldn't say it was stellar, but again, it was drafted against very well.
Yeah.
But the Maiev, too, because Biggie can just be like, all right, well, I'll go back to playing a ranged damage dealer, and then we'll see Medivh come over for Dansky.
No Tomorrow.
Genji and Tracer
yes,
both
that's what I
now.
wanted to say with that Abathur ban. No Tomorrow say, okay, fine, no Malfurion, and then we're guaranteed to get one of them. Super cool. But you talked about Medivh, and Dansky is thought of as the best Medivh in North America. Octalis has only played Medivh one game in all of Part 2, conspicuously absent given the fact that that is the Medivh team originally. Oh.
Okay, last pick Deckard, first pick Deckard. Whatever, you know. Tyrael Blaze, things are getting spicy already because you don't go Tyrael unless you're looking to be aggressive.
And now we might know a little bit more about why No Tomorrow chose to ban Tyrael over the Stukov. First of all, Stukov wasn't even picked by ENDEMIC anyway. They got their Deckard Cain. But there is still some high value for No Tomorrow on Tyrael. When we see compositions that have Tyrael and Blaze, the biggest issue is overlapping of abilities. So we gotta make sure that Bunker and Sanctification are used in conjunction well between Jhin and... Who am I missing? Who am I thinking?
Tomster.
Tomster, that's right.
Switch
he's
now.
back.
It's like, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
He's back to that melee.
Between the two of those.
Well, Blaze and Tyrael, both are melee. Taunt is a thing. If we do see a Garrosh pick Deckard, we know we can stay on there. But again, the Tracer and Genji are both up. You can't ignore them both here, can you?
I'd say no.
Unless Hanzo.
Yes. Another Hanzo for ENDEMIC. Dahaka 2. Kira gets the global for the side lane. Not going to be available for No Tomorrow now, not with Abathur being gone and Tyrael and Blaze already chosen.
The ultimate disengage. Sanctification, Bunker, Mighty Gust. Just stay away from team fights forever. I don't expect that. But Falstad, you know, has entered his way back into the meta. So it's still a potential pick. You could use that as a second damage dealer, the extra global just in case.
Oh. We talk about Sanct Bunker. Did you see any judgment in Part 2? Deckard has no cleanse.
I mean, if we did, it was probably forgettable.
It would have been this team, though. Equinox loved Judgment, didn't he? I remember in part 1 he played it.
Yeah, you know, we'll
Not
go
a
back.
fan.
We'll go back on our notes.
Oh. There she is.
Sergeant Hammer.
Popping up in a ban.
Genji and Tracer struggle against the Sergeant Hammer because she has the Neo Steel plating, the coating on her E to make sure that just negate pulse bomb damage, any type of damage. You're unstoppable as well at level 4. And it's hard to engage into that because the area that you can siege up on, it's hard to work your way in.
I think they would ban Genji over Tracer, really.
Ooh.
Because Sanctification with Genji. But Malfurion's gone. Are you gonna TAS Tracer with Tyrael Blaze? I guess maybe. We saw a TAS Tracer with a Double Warrior last series.
Casanova is so good on Genji. I'd be surprised if that's not the pickup. I mean, he is probably one of our more standout Genji players that we have. And this composition says dive, but Deckard, does he change the game? Does Hanzo change the game?
The only other hero I would see from that would be Greymane. Because they have Sanctification, they have a lot more of protection for him. But if they're going to move Greymane Uther, I think you have to leave Uther until later on to see how much spread damage you're dealing with. Yeah. Because you already have scatter arrows.
It's a double-edged sword because you could just as easily, on the other side, all of a sudden Johanna comes out as a pick.
Oh,
Lucio,
I stand ready.
Vala. Of all the options, like Phoenix.
What?
Of all the options, we get a Vala. Johanna seems pretty appealing, but
Vala again.
Vala
So
Lucio.
Tyrael, this is...
Although Aquabase played a lot of Lucio last phase.
Yeah.
I'll throw that out there for anybody who's wondering why Lucio.
But this is like an old comp. This is like pre-BlizzCon comp. Like Tyrael Blaze Lucio Vala. Like just the constant defensive long fights. Huh. All right.
So Johanna is an option. Garrosh is still available. Murd in there. Johanna definitely makes a lot of sense for the blind, the iron skin.
They have the same steel heal already. They just get Phoenix. All right. This surely isn't double support, double warrior Vala, is it?
I really hope not.
Heroes Hearth played that and won with it on towers.
I think I'm okay if it was a Tassadar, because Tassadar, Lucio does not have the single target save outside of using an amp it up on heals because if somebody gets low, but generally you want to say that for multiple members. Tassadar seems like it could be an option, but if you're going burst damage, you know, we haven't really seen Jaina in this series yet. But a Vala Jaina does not appeal to me.
I know, this is wild. I cannot figure out what I like with this.
With No Tomorrow, you know, Nasmus Vala was very strong. Or, excuse me, Nasmus. I don't even know where I'm going with Nasmus. Casanova, very strong on those heroes, but now with Genji coming in, definitely that makes it a Jay Shrite.
For sure. First Vala back.
I don't know if this is the place.
We said that about Heroes Hearth, and then won with it.
But Vala over Phoenix at this point. I mean, I hate to say it, but Phoenix is really strong, and Vala can be strong, but is far more susceptible. Smaller health pool, not as much mobility. She does have higher burst potential depending on the build.
Yeah, what do you expect here? Do you think it's going to be Hungering Arrow build? We're not looking at Vala Ario, so it's not so much trying to get multi-shot build to build up the hope. Then she can be the sapper hero. You're not going to believe this, but Jay Shrite is playing Genji. Casanova's on Vala.
What is this life?
Changes. They happen.
Changes.
I knew you were going to do that.
It's very different. This is a very different No Tomorrow team. They are breaking from the norm. It seems like anytime I want to praise somebody, they're like, no, we're doing something different. Like Casanova and Genji, it was almost synonymous for all of Phase 1.
He was a very good Genji player. And is probably still a very good Genji player. It might just be the Vala necessary for Casanova. We heard rumblings about Vala at MSB though, correct?
Yeah, but when Vala came out, it was not exactly the expected Vala that I think a lot of people wanted. And then everybody's like, look, let's go back to Hanzo. Oh yeah, he still works.
It's true Hanzo does feel like the upgraded version, but I will say that a lot of the initial Valas we saw were from significantly weaker skilled regions or teams. So I think there's also some factor in there, but let's see how it goes. It's not going to be Hungering Arrow build. We've got Hot Pursuit.
That mobility. We'll see how it plays out. Double range versus double range. The Genji has the dive. Genji onto Hanzo, Genji onto Phoenix. They're hard to get onto and kill with their mobility. The other thing is, I've been playing a lot of Genji lately. A Genji diving into a Deckard, I can tell you one thing, trying to 100 to 0 a Deckard, even 75 to 0 a Deckard who can just self-heal. And he's probably taunting you as he just watches you try and hit him with shurikens. It's not an easy task. It's going to require a full team effort for No Tomorrow to get onto that back line and get the Genji value.
Well, with a lot of defensive abilities, maybe they can wait for Endemic to come to them. I think, again, it's going to depend on where Michael Udall gets set up for those stay-a-whiles. But this is not quite as melee-heavy as we saw before.
I just want to point out how well Endemic responded to that Genji. My eyes were glued on that. The way that they played that. And then we saw the use from Phoenix there.
Arsenal synergy?
Yeah, that play there was beautiful to watch. If you're a fan of just regular old mechanics like I am, that was amazing to watch.
The thing that I was wanting to point out about that is, you know, we had the Swift Strike range reduction a little while ago, so trying to back out with that, Arsenal synergy can help try to secure the last kill on that. And Vola, if you're waiting and holding your vault until the very end, hoping that you can back out with low health, also might be too much for her to handle. So I love the Arsenal synergy pickup here.
Well, the response here from No Tomorrow, rotating the Blaze down to the mid lane. This is a very common rotation. You know, we saw Tempo Storm abuse that global very early on in Phase 1. They would just come down, invade, and then a lot of teams started to adapt to that. And they would bring their solo down to the mid lane for a quick and easy rotation. So definitely something that No Tomorrow been working out. Tomster showing he very much aware of his position.
Sapper versus Sapper fight starting to go in favor of No Tomorrow. We're trying to escort these in further using the shielding of Tyrael to help with that. Also picked up Justice for All, so it's increased. There's the Arsenal synergy again. Biggie goes in for the warp kill.
Wow.
The shield necessary to save Vala.
Tomster dealing with Cure up here in the top lane. A Blaze versus Dahaka generally plays out a lot like what you're seeing right now. We've had a lot of action in the four-man rotation so far. We're going to see. We saw a very good use of the global earlier as Dansky's going to go ahead and agility on out of there. Again, that's one of the hardest things is between a Hanzo and a Phoenix and a Deckard who has that armor and self-healing, it's very hard as a Genji player to go it alone. So it's really going to come down to it. Is judgment a thing?
Yeah.
Maybe.
On it, we've already seen Jen have so much trouble getting onto Endemic because of that Deckard Cane. Sapphire slow, that's a 65% slow. It's not very easy to deal with. And then the root. Akaface needs to get out of here.
I don't think Casanova can get in for the interrupt. Michael
drag?
Udall completes the channel. Cure trying to get over there, unable to do so.
Movement speed bonus is one great thing about Lucio, trying to speed you away from that. But as we talked about, the low heals for a majority of the game is problematic, but I think that's why we're still going to see a sanctification, but I worry about No Tomorrow's ability to engage in a fight. I mean, we've talked a lot about, or you guys have talked a lot about Holy Ground. Maybe Jet Propulsion can make the difference when Tomster's in for fights, but it's going to depend on when he can feel comfortable rotating in for those fights.
And right now, it seems like No Tomorrow's chasing a lot. They're just unable to find their opportunity, and I think they're starting to realize that the engagements aren't really there. You can see their positioning. You can see right now they're conceding a bit more than they were before. They haven't made a rotation up to the top lane, trying to find a rotation onto the Hanzo or the Phoenix. It's proving to be all for naught, and they're going to go over, trade out camps here. There's going to be no invade by either team, but No Tomorrow definitely starting to slow their pace just a little bit. They find themselves slightly down, not a lot, but I just feel they're having trouble finding their footing behind this, and it's really not going to open up for them until level 10 to try and deal with this composition from ENDEMIC.
Well, Swift Retribution for Tyrael should make some difference in giving some more movement speed, but they have the movement speed of Akaphase too. And that might be an enabler for them to get into the fight, but it's these triangles, scroll of ceiling every time, that forces No Tomorrow to back off, and they would like to be more aggressive. But I agree with you, they're being aggressive, they're bringing in some damage, but for what they have, their composition, it's heroic abilities where they really come online.
Yeah, and you know, we've got a ways. We're going to see another trade here. By the time we get there, Shrite is actually getting a little bit of poke value in. It's not necessarily buying anything. You look at the mini-map, everything's just kind of trading out. Phoenix was soaking mid, Vala's soaking bottom to deal with the push that ENDEMIC had an advantage in. It's not really netting anything. It's buying a little bit of time so you can get to that race towards 10. That's pretty much all you're getting from No Tomorrow in that poke value there. Even that, you can see there. Biggie, shield goes down. No further damage to come from it. Shield comes back up. No trouble. If I'm on this Phoenix right now, I am just loving life because I'm just sitting back here and it doesn't really feel like anybody's going to get to me.
Teams are starting to work their way toward level 10. With ENDEMIC, a focus on the top sappers. Bringing people up just in case this happens. No Tomorrow snips this out and chooses to engage. Given that you have a Genji, you can make these kinds of rotations, and the Lucio too. That propulsion back in, trying to get on the point. Tomster very low, doesn't have bunker yet, just flat goes down.
Just too much to overcome. Akaphase wall riding right now, trying to get that. You can see Biggie looking for an opportunity to go in, see if he can follow up and get more damage in, searching. Unable to find him, but the damage is done. Another kill here for ENDEMIC. Structurally starting to come into control here. As ENDEMIC rounding 10. Nice knockback by Akaphase, keeping Jin a little bit safer. But with 10 now, the next altar down in the bottom lane, they're gonna bully their way in. No 10 yet for No Tomorrow. They clear the wave. They're gonna take this wall, stretch their lead a little bit, give them more structural advantage, more chase potential for this next altar phase.
Yeah, get more value out of future Sapper camps too, but I think it was so cool what ENDEMIC did there, that they played No Tomorrow's playstyle against them, went for the bruisers or the sappers from the top, but made sure to keep some people out of vision so that No Tomorrow, when they went and engaged, because they knew it was likely that Genji was going to go up and try to help out and have a 2v1 versus the Dahaka there, all of a sudden, I don't think No Tomorrow expected at all for all of ENDEMIC to show up there, and that gave ENDEMIC almost a level lead in heroic abilities first.
Well, Deckard can conceivably only heal one person at a time. So we got Dragon Blade, no X-Strike coming out here. There's going to be the oil on the backside. Jin, they're going in. The priority is going to be Dansky. Going to go ahead and agility out. We've got the salvo in return as well as the stay on. Listen, that is locked down one. It's also taken down another. Vala is the first to fall, and you can see the isolation used onto Jin. There's going to be another tongue grab. Cure making plays happen. Akaphase, he's going to go down. And this is a bloodbath because ENDEMIC is ending the lives of several members of No Tomorrow as they retreat. They're going to concede another altar.
No chance for Sanctification. None at all. Such good control of No Tomorrow with ENDEMIC, knowing exactly what they needed to do with Sanctification, with Sound Barrier. They didn't let No Tomorrow play the slow game. Bunker was forced out. People were popping in and out of it. We saw Jen trying to pop in and out of it, and when he finally came out for good, the control was there to stop him from sanking it as well. So now ENDEMIC has the full level lead and the sappers that they can start to work toward this bottom fort, which they opened up right before that altar, and importantly for them is starting to climb ahead in the core health.
This might be desperate times, call for desperate measures. No 13 yet for ENDEMIC, and you can see No Tomorrow working their way in. Sapper Camp's got to, oh, wait a minute, Jen, there we go. Biggie, all of a sudden, he's in trouble. There's going to be the knockback.
Oh, the
he
boop
gets
was
the
too
warp
early.
Out. The boop doesn't get him, but Strafe is going to go out, and it actually confirms the kill. We have multiple members locked down by Stay While.
Wow.
Listen, followed up by the Dragon Arrow, followed up by the Condemn, but Sanctification in return.
Michael Udall was right next to all of No Tomorrow, but got off the Stay a While and Listen. Now Cure body blocked, but uses the Dark Swarm, hoping to get back out. This time the boop is pretty darn good from Akaface, and they are whittling down this health bar point by point to get a second kill.
That snap call to go in, there was no 13 yet. No Tomorrow knew that once 13 came in, they had to fall back, but instead they moved very much forward. Started to catch up in experience, but took some control away from ENDEMIC, and getting those 2 kills, definitely signs of life here. It's got to really build up that confidence.
The kills were good, but they had to go back and heal up. Didn't get much control gained back. They still are down 13, so they're going to have to do it again, especially over these 2 altars. Trying to gain control back at the bottom. They'll have Sanctification back in 45 seconds, but that's really problematic considering these altars are activating in 4 and those low cooldown timers. The Stay a While even is back too for ENDEMIC. They're going to have everything up before Sanctification comes back.
Phoenix, he's coming around the flank, seeing if he can get the interrupt. There's going to be the Sonic arrow. That's going to be the first interrupt. Tomster getting the channel. I believe Blind was just used there by B-Kid elsewhere. Shrite is identified that Phoenix is there. There's going to be another Dragon Arrow on the floor.
Oh man, this combo has been phenomenal. They've got the Stay a While too and the Scroll of Sealing, but the Sound Barrier this time goes off the bunkers there too, and No Tomorrow is living for the moment.
Right now they're looking to re-engage as Dragon Blade going out. B-Kid, he's going to be the first to fall on the side of ENDEMIC. No Tomorrow. Gilead's found themselves back into this fight. They actually picked up 13 off of that kill. So they took that fight down that talent tier level, but Akaface with that Sound Barrier was so clutch to keep his team going.
He made the adjustments that this time was able to use it, and it was just barely enough to allow them to re-engage after what seemed like no way they make it out of it, because ENDEMIC's synergy, think about this, guys, and how well they have landed these Dragon Arrows into Condemns, Stay a Whiles in differing orders. This is a new team with people, 3 different people who role changed, and they are executing that well, that professionally is amazing to see this quickly.
Now looking to be aggressive again. No Tomorrow. They've got a Sapper camp. Want to continue to get some experience to get back into this. Genji and Blaze rotating down. Dahaka's going to be there. We're going to whiff on this Dragon Arrow, but a nice tongue is going to land there. That's going to be Vala falling again. And sometimes that's all it takes to just change the pacing again. And now with ENDEMIC, Blaze and Genji are showing mid, which means that there is no defense here in the bot lane. A mistake here by No Tomorrow in defense of this bot lane. Gilly, we know how strong that bottom lane control is, as we saw in our earlier series.
That fort had sustained quite a lot of damage, so maybe No Tomorrow felt like without Vala as that back line poke damage, they weren't going to be able to hold it, but it has felt like a couple of times in this game, the rotations from No Tomorrow have not been as crisp as we would hope, kind of back and forth between a couple of lanes, trying to figure out what to do. And with that loss of kill now, ENDEMIC is about a half level away from 16 as we approach the second triple altar phase. And this may be a point where ENDEMIC can skyrocket this game into their lead again. Yeah,
with Sappers pushing bottom, I'd be surprised if No Tomorrow tried to do anything but capture just the top right one. If they look for a fight mid, they're going to give up the Sappers in the bot lane. You can see Hanzo trying to escort those in. Shrite trying to get a delay in. See if they're actually going to use that to force the fight. Casanova, scatter arrow, nicely done there by Dansky.
There's no Rain of Vengeance, it's strafe. So as Casanova was trying,
Ooh.
No Tomorrow getting better at dodging those, that's for sure.
Is stalling on the backside, but B-Kid is like, nah, not right now.
Biggie gets the channel, which is at the core of No Tomorrow, to 9 points. First things first, 16, get back this bottom. No Tomorrow, they're behind, but it's Towers of Doom. Comebacks do happen.
From time to time, I've seen them. They're pretty fun to watch, but right now, ENDEMIC's trying to make sure that doesn't happen as they move forward here. Shrite getting a little bit of poke damage in as they too find themselves. No Tomorrow down 25-9 in terms of core health. Biggie, gonna go ahead and warp on out while the rest of No Tomorrow, they're just trying to find an opportunity. And those opportunities are gonna get slimmer and slimmer.
All right, 16 is here, and this is the big one. We get Rejuvenescencia for the Lucio, and then Final Cut is a pretty good talent.
Yeah, it definitely helps that single target. It can hit multiple, but if you can get the cooldown reduction. Actually, he went Shingun at 13.
Yeah, he's all about that single target.
Yeah, and that's the thing is Phoenix, despite the body size nerf buff, depending on how you look at it, he does still have a very large hitbox, so it does make it easier to get value. If you hit that perfect Swift Strike right on the other side, get the final cut and that Shingun damage, you can definitely find that single target damage if you can find some way to lock him down.
It has been so hard for No Tomorrow to get in here. The Dragon's Arrow after a condemn. They have a stay a while, but the bunker, can they live for long enough in there? Sanctification out. Now it's the time for No Tomorrow to strike.
They're looking for it. Dragon Blade already
so
out.
Low.
Casanova extremely low. There's going to be a shield enough to keep him alive. The altar about to spawn as well. A lot of heroics were used. Actually, all heroics except Sound Barrier were used on both teams. So they'll find an opportunity to re-engage. Nice scatter arrow, going to thwart them off for now. Cure trying to get the charge. The channel not able to get the interrupt, and now we see the re-engagement here. Jin forced to retreat.
Man, it just hurts to see Lucio have 16 and still not be able to heal this team back up so that it could re-engage, even having Sound Barrier. And that's a problem. I said that was the time for them to get back into the fight, getting through the initial combo of the Condemn, the Stay a While, the Purification Salvo, and Dragon's Arrow, but they were so low and they were still underneath Endemic's fort. They have not been able to take back that bot bell tower. And now there's more sappers on their way. They need to get this back.
Not only are there sappers on their way, but the boss is available.
Casa.
Casanova, I don't think he's staying around here. Sound Barrier going to be a little bit late. He did not want to use that, but was forced to. And now that might be too little too late, as I believe Endemic should be able to rotate up to this boss. No Tomorrow knows that. And this is going to be No Tomorrow's last stand, because with Hanzo, he did not go scatter at 4, but this is still 5v4.
You got to give up the shots.
No holy ground available. You got to give up the bottom shots. You have to fight here. This is all she wrote. You get this boss if you're Endemic, it's game over. And that boss is falling. Here it comes, Gilly.
Genji is not quite here. Stay a while, but they make it into the point. They have the bunker back behind them if they need. Purification Salvo just wrecked them, but Jay Shrit is going to compete in the back, and a barely Sanctification is keeping No Tomorrow in this game, but only just, as finally Endemic take them down, take the boss, and take game 2.
A little bit of a slow start. No Tomorrow found an opportunity at that level 12 mark, but Endemic again showing their resiliency. That's twice now that we've seen a very similar, right around 10-12 mark for Endemic, where No Tomorrow finds an opportunity, a very small opportunity, finds their way back in the game, but Endemic slowly starts to shift things back in their favor, and just like the tide, what goes out must come back, and Endemic, they're showing strong here as the game goes on.
I think the difference between those two games was that the first was Endemic's call. They made the call for the boss.
Yeah.
And maybe forgot a little stage dive factor, but for this one, it was adaptation being made on both sides.
Yep.
Earlier Sound Barrier, Nats No Tomorrow, a fight win, but Endemic figures it out and then makes the right adaptations. And I have to say it again, the synergy from Endemic to look that good that they showed with those combos is very promising, guys.
It does look good. I mean, watching it unfold, you almost kind of forget, do I have to say words? Like, this is beautiful to watch when you see that type of synergy. So definitely a good showing, I think, by Endemic to the first two games. Again, not super, super clean like you would expect, but No Tomorrow is showing a lot of fight in them, and I think that does make it hard for Endemic to really showcase their strength. But the fact that they find themselves up 2-0, and if you look at the final part of the game, you can say, okay, yeah, they won pretty handedly. It's not super clean, but they're definitely having decisive wins so far.
Well, we're going to head to a commercial break. Afterwards, we'll see if No Tomorrow can bring it back, or if we'll have 2 3-0s to kick off day 1 of NA HGC. Stick with us.